All right, so we are going to have a bit of a conversation about bus ministry. We have these two wonderful ladies with us who are visiting from Texas. I'm going to let you introduce yourselves. If you would, let us know who you are, what church you've come from, and a little bit of background about your church.
You first. My name is Madison Bryan. My dad pastors the church in Onalaska, Texas. We were originally at a church in Porter, but my dad, around 8 years ago in July, we moved to Onalaska, and we've been pastoring there ever since. We had 11 voting members. Right now, our church is running 80 to 85, and we just recently, within the past month, started a bus ministry. Thanks to you guys. But I guess we'll talk about that a little later.
Tell us real quick, where is Onalaska close to? Because I'm sure most people have never heard of that part of Texas.
Yes, a lot of people actually, every time I ever mention it, you're from Alaska?
Yes.
No. It's really disappointing. It's a letdown
Yeah.
too. We have 3 red lights at our church, so, not at our church, but in the city.
Yeah.
But we're north of Houston. South of Lufkin, and if you've ever heard of Huntsville, I know people have heard of Huntsville State Prison. Okay. We're between Huntsville State Prison and Livingston, so a small little town.
Yeah, I love small towns.
Yes.
I love the energy, the community, really getting to know different people. Yeah, good. So
I'm Jessica, and we've actually been going to Onalaska Church for a year in July. Okay. We've actually known Sister Madison and her family a very long time. Back when they were at Porter, we've known them for a while. And my husband and I have just taken over the Sunday school department and kind of done a revamp. We've just restarted everything, and we've had exponential growth in just the little bit of time that we've started, and we're just really excited to get everything up and running.
Okay. And so one component of that, as you said, is bus ministry, really, I guess, running it full throttle now and about to get into that. They're visiting with us today. Today is Sunday, March, whatever day it is.
20th.
March 20th. And so they drove from Texas to visit with us and learn some of the ropes. You spoke with, Pastor and Sis Spell, your family. Could you tell us some of the other family members who are here right now? Real quick.
So we have our bus driver, Brother Brinkley. Okay. He's with us as well. And then Sister Jessica and her husband, my parents, and then I have my nephew Kyler, and then we have Kinsley Jackson, which is her and Brother Logan's babies. Okay. Yeah.
So you rode today, Sister Emery's bus, if I'm not mistaken. Could you tell us a little bit of your experience and maybe some of the things you've gained?
Yes. Yeah. It was so much fun. I love it. So we started out, and she was just talking to me, and I let her know, we really wanted to see, growth, and we already saw, 17 kids. One of our first bus routes was 17 kids, and so we were excited, but we wanted to know more, and we wanted more order, and y'all are running 35 or plus buses, so we needed that. So got in the bus, and obviously the bus driver is friendly. Is it Emerson?
Emery, yes.
Emery. Mm-hmm. I only remember write their first names. Yeah. And so just casually talking, and then we get to a neighborhood, and of course the kids come in, but they're running, they're excited. Yeah. They all run and give her hugs because she's made a connection with them. It's not, we're picking up kids. Yes. You could tell that she had a love for them. And I think that stood out the most to me because, you can have people ride in your bus but never know them. Right. And she was just, there was one little girl, she's probably 7, and she was like, so how's your dog? I didn't see your dog run outside. And it's that what makes them stay. Mm-hmm. I learned a lot about order and just how she does things, and not once did I ever hear her yell at the kids. Never once did I. It was never, she always went and addressed them and was like, okay, we need to make sure that we're sitting on the bus. Yeah. We're not, throwing things at our neighbor. Yeah. And even at the end, when we got back on the bus, she asked everyone, did you have fun in Sunday school? And of course everyone was, oh yeah, we had so much fun. Kids were coming in with food, and she not once was like, oh, you need to not do this.
Right.
She wasn't. It was awesome. It was just what I would want if I'd never been to church before. What I would want to see. And then at the end, she had gave everyone cupcakes out of her own pocket. And it had nothing to do with the church. No one forced her to do that, but she just wanted to make them feel so loved. And it was awesome. I learned a lot for sure. It was just, I think a lot was about relation, getting connected with them.
And I think from my time being part of Life Tabernacle, I've learned that we let kids be kids. Like you said, like kids are going to have they're going to do kid things, and you don't have to necessarily yell or be over disciplined. Just love them and
it was
say,
good.
Let them have that kid fun. They love it. I love it. And let's talk about, you rode with hold on, you told me earlier. Tell me.
Brother Mike and Bus 13.
Brother Mike, Sister Lisa, I believe. Yes, Bus 13. So tell us about your experience.
It was an eye-opening experience. There are a lot of things, that I took from it that we could do differently. But the one thing that I saw that we had in common is that burden. We all carry this heavy burden that it's undescribable, but just to see it in action, when you're on the bus, when you're knocking those doors, when you're saying hello to those kids, you're the hands and feet of Jesus at that point. So it's so necessary. And I saw the burden in Sister Lisa so many times. She went up to so many empty doors. She didn't get an answer, and she came back. She said, I'm still praying for them. They're going to come back. It was never, she said, I'm sad about it, but they're going to come back. She didn't give up. And to me, if anything, it lit a new fire inside of me. Why wouldn't we go knock on all these empty doors? It gave me so much encouragement. We have so much ground to cover and not enough time to do it.
Not enough buses.
It was exciting, and my husband was on bus 35. No, that was yours. Bus 7. And the kids were saying they were hungry. He was on a real full bus on the way back. So one of the leaders there pulled over at Taco Bell and ordered the whole bus tacos.
No way.
Yes,
amazing.
Yes. So it's just, he's like, we're late, we're getting tacos. But it's the coolest thing to see people. I mean, we have the burden, but this is a new burden for us. We've never had it before. But just to see this going so well here, and it's just amazing. Yeah.
And I want to mention one thing, about that, the burden on when you knock on a door and no one responds. Sister Nicole, who teaches she's over at Girls Elevate, and she mentioned a door last Sunday that she would go knock perhaps 2-3 years, right? They never came to church. They say, we'll come. 3 years later, they show up to class.
Oh my goodness.
Right? And it's like they asked her, she gave the testimony so beautifully, but the young girl's like, do you remember me? You came to my door, you were knocking. And it took her a while to recall. And then she's like, wow, we knocked for so long. And of course they didn't come. But then they just remembered. They came to church. So just really knowing your labor is not in vain, knowing that the seeds planted, they will come into fruition. Maybe years way later, but God does that. So we're here. You also attended the service.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about the church experience that you had here at Life Tabernacle. I won't say what's your favorite part, but how was your experience, right?
The dynamic.
Yeah.
It was so different. When you dream of going to churches like this. Brother Spells, Brother Holmes, we've never been to any of those. But just to walk in and see the dynamic of the people here. It's so many different people, and so many people that are so hungry. We saw 2 baptisms this morning, and that's just amazing. And you hear about it, you see it on Facebook, but to see it in real life and to feel it, that God is so present and God is so here. This church is on fire.
Yes.
And it's just amazing that it's not just one fire. It's the same fire, the little fire that we have in Onalaska.
Yeah.
You guys have here. It's awesome. Yeah. It's just incredible. I can't describe it. Yeah. It's amazing. I loved it. Every bit of it.
Do you want to speak to that?
I thought it was, I looked around and I was like, wow, I said, no one, this is no one that I recognize. I've seen multiple people this morning. We were here at 7:55 or 8, and these are everyone in the church. Everyone in the church was from the bus ministry.
Right.
There was no saints, because the saints were working with other people, and I was like, this is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And it's just working hand in hand with each other. So I thought that was like amazing. And then everyone came to the altar, and it was just awesome. It was so cool to look around and say, I met so many people this morning, but I don't know anyone in this building. I know Brother Sibel, and that's it.
Where did all these people come from?
Yes, it was awesome.
Yeah,
it's so awesome.
And I think that's one thing. If you are able to stay, I think y'all are kind of thinking about staying for this evening service. Or you
yes,
will.
We might. Yeah.
So it's completely different. Every service is different. In the evening, our choir sings, of course, and then a lot of people who have been working across the campus will join in.
Yes.
For the evening service.
So another thing was, we were at a bus stop. We were dropping the kids off, and I would say Sister Emerson. Is it Emerson?
Emery.
I just know her as Sister
Yolanda.
Yeah. And so she was, we were dropping them off, and then she said, there's someone outside. She ran outside and got their phone number and said, we want to pick up your best kids. We want to pick you up. And it was just so cool. I was like, what? You don't expect that. You think, I'm just going on my routine. No, it was every person she saw. It was, this is a soul that I'm going to reach, and they're going to come to this church. And that's how she came into the bus, like you said, like yours, Sister Lisa. Just, they're coming. I mean, they may not come next Sunday, but they're coming. So I think that's really amazing.
Yes.
Big church mentality, not small.
Do you feel like there are certain things that really just not only stood out, but you're like, okay, as soon as we get back, we're going
flyers.
Yes.
We took 2, and I put them in my purse, but we are absolutely going to print hundreds and hundreds of flyers. We do not. That's what we need to do. Yeah. It's just such a great. We're already deciding what we're going to do Saturday for outreach.
Yes.
We're bringing popsicles for kids. We're going to these neighborhoods, and we're passing out our flyers. I love where you can write in the phone number. And I loved your cards.
Yes.
The cards that you give out where they can register. And they register with the bus, and then they give them 2. They give one to the Sunday school department, so everybody is on the same page. It's just a really smooth process. Yeah. So we've actually learned a lot, and we can't wait to go home and put it into action.
Yes.
I think if you're not aware, too, we do mobile Sunday school on Saturdays. So
I saw it on your Facebook.
That's a new thing that's been implemented, and
that's
Sister
awesome.
Crystal New, our outreach director, oversees that, but we go into an area and kind of hold church.
No way.
Sunday school.
That is awesome.
One Saturday a month.
That's amazing. Yeah. I didn't know that.
It's pretty cool. And I think it's really about just being bold and courageous to try any and everything.
Right.
Just to get out there and say, hey, God, we're going to... I think about it just throwing everything on the wall. We're going to try everything. And knowing that something is going to come back in return.
You guys operate on so much faith.
Yeah.
Because when we were in the Girls Connect class, they had all these empty chairs. And she said, this is how much we had before the pandemic.
Yeah.
We put these chairs out every time because we're operating in faith.
Oh, yeah.
These kids are coming back.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the same way with the bus ministry. You go to empty houses, empty doors that haven't answered in weeks, operating in faith.
Yes.
That is just amazing to me. And like what you say, doing the mobile Saturday. And you're just taking a shot in the dark.
Yes.
And you're doing it amazing.
Yeah.
It's such an inspiration.
How do you maintain your schedule in terms of time element? Putting it on a schedule, perhaps balancing that with your family life and stuff like that. Do you find any difficulty, or are you just kind of...
So our church is our family.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just, the thing... So some people use church as extracurricular activity, that they're we have a life, and then this is the church, and we'll go to that, we go to whatever. That's not how I was raised, and that's now not how I'm gonna do my life. The church, God is my entire life, so anything else is extra.
Yes.
Any friendships, my job, that's outside of the church, that's extra.
Absolutely.
So I have no problem. It doesn't bother me going to church every single night. I mean,
sometimes that's what it takes.
And that's the past month.
Yeah.
We've been at the
Every
church
day.
every night and working.
And the
and
kids too,
doing things.
you know,
Yeah.
playing,
Do you
eating.
mind if I ask you, how old are you?
I'm 22.
So, listen, I just want to know, I always ask this question to people I feel the enthusiasm both of you have, because a lot of young people may not grow up to gain that hunger, that love, that like, man, I just want to be at church. That's crazy. Church.
Yeah.
How do you feel like you develop that strong urge to be in the house of the Lord and just serve in His kingdom so passionately?
That's hard. I just know when I was young, my dad always kind of instilled, he wasn't always my pastor, but he always felt the call to preach. So when growing up, he would do Bible studies at home, and, you know, he would try to make it life. Yes. We'd have little prayer meetings at our house, and he just tried to make it real. And it was just, you know, Madison, this is what he would say to me, you know, you have to get it for yourself. So I just remember being really young, you know, 10, and just like, I want to read the Bible, you know. I'm going to church, but why?
Right.
You know, because I didn't know what I was doing. So I always felt something different. I would, you know, and I would get little, I have notes from like 11 and 12 of just writing things in my Bible and having a little notes. And it was like one that I've always stuck to. And I think it's a revelation for yourself. When I was probably, I believe I was at least 11. I might have been younger. I was reading Noah's Ark. I mean, a book that, you know, everyone knows Noah's Ark. And it just became real to me that the rainbow was a promise. And I thought about it every time after it rains, it does. Like, there's that promise. Yeah. And so it was like, God, if God gives you a promise, He's going to stick to it, just like He did for Noah years and years ago. And so I think it just comes with, I don't know, other than just seeking the face of God. Because I started a relationship with Him when I was young, and I felt something when I was young, and I never strayed from that. Yeah. And I knew, you know, my mom and dad would talk about they had lived in the world, and they experienced the world of sin, and they know what it felt like, and they know the heaviness and the burden and that they had, and it was gross, and they didn't like it. And I've never touched that. Like, God saved me from that. Yes. People will say, you know, like, oh, God delivered me from drugs. Well, God delivered me from drugs because I've never touched it. I've never tasted it. So I don't have that weight on me. Yes. So I think it's just at a young age, my dad instilled it, my mom instilled it, and then I felt something, and I couldn't ever go back. I couldn't ever not feel the gravitation of doing something for Him, because it's the most fulfilling thing that you'll ever do. It's doing something for Him. And because Sister Jessica, you said something amazing, and it goes back to the bus ministry. Yes. I feel like you should repeat it, but you had said that we're doing something for the little ones. Oh,
so when you do for the least of these, we're doing things for people who can't repay us. Right. These children don't pay tithes. Right. They're not going to be faithful saints right now. You know, these children can't do anything for us. Everything that we do for them is pure, selfless love. Yeah. And that's who God is. He is that pure, selfless love that we get to appreciate. Yes. We're so, I say lucky, but people don't say that. They say blessed. But we are so blessed to get to know Him. Some of these kids have never even known one word about Him, but when they walk through those doors and they go to Sunday school. So it's not just a burden, it's a job. Yes. We have to do it. It's our number one purpose. I honestly feel like, I told our team the other day, I gave the last part of a scripture verse, Esther 4:14. We were, for such a time as this. This is our time. This is our purpose. Yes. We're not going to fail. God's in it. He's already given us the children. We just have to put our boots on the ground and get to work.
Yes.
It's awesome.
I like that, boots on the ground.
Yes.
I just want to say too, like, when I saw y'all yesterday, we say y'all.
Y'all be losing it.
I want to say in my head, I want to say you.
No, say y'all, girl.
So, but when I saw y'all yesterday, and I thought you were someone else at first. and then I was like, oh, it's visitors. But I must say, I really appreciate your extraordinary passion and enthusiasm for being here. No, like, it's really contagious. And it makes me like, I am so excited and grateful and honored when I see other people who are excited about the things of God. I cannot overstate how much that thrills me, just to have a like, who sits around having conversations about bus ministry?
We do. It's
right. So just to want to talk about that and finding ways to reach our communities, I think is so beautiful, and so much revival is, we're looking for it. I feel like it's here.
It is here. It's here. We just have to go get it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be handed to us on the silver platter. We've got to work for it, but it's awesome. And we just pray and pray and pray for more people with this burden.
Yes.
It's amazing. So everything that we've learned here, I mean, we're going to take back and put it to work, but it's just, we can't wait to see all of these children filled with the Holy Ghost.
I know it.
And that's why, she talked about her relationship with God as a young child, and that's what I had when I was a young child. I mean, my grandmother taught me how to pray, and and I go back to that because I haven't been in church all my life. I was out of church for 10 years, and we just recently got back in church and have been in church almost a year. But it's even when I pray now, the same prayers that I pray are the same prayers that I prayed at 8 and 9 years old.
Yes.
And just to think we're bringing in kids those age that can establish that relationship, that no matter what happens to them, no matter if their family stays in church, they can go back to that. That's a foundation. And just like she said, God's promise, He doesn't ever leave us. He's always there. We may leave Him and act like crazy teenagers for 10, 15 years. But it's just, we're so blessed to be able to come back. So everything that we do is just, we're lucky to be able to do it.
Yes.
God is faithful. So, I look forward to hearing the testimonies more that comes from, I want to say, Onalaska. Oh, say it again for me.
Onalaska.
Onalaska,
Yeah.
I did it.
You did.
Oh.
Yeah.
Onalaska, Texas.
Yes. It's just
north of Houston.
Yes.
Okay.
An hour north.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being here with us, for sharing a bit of your story and just such encouraging words, for your enthusiasm. I love it so much. So if y'all need anything, of course, Life Tabernacle is here for you. We join together in unity in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.